28 engineers could fix it. A human father made it work. The station, called the Arcadia, orbited a dying sun, its metal skin glowing faintly in the weak starlight. Inside, it was alive with sounds, mechanical hums, distant alarms, and the soft chatter of the crew. But today, the hum of life support systems was uneven. Something was wrong. The main life support relay, the heart of the station, had failed again. Not just a small glitch, but a deep, dangerous failure. Oxygen levels fluctuated, temperature regulators spiked, and the backup systems were straining to keep the environment stable. If it failed completely, the station would lose its atmosphere in minutes. 28 engineers were already at work. They were not human. They came from different parts of the galaxy. Tall, spindly creatures with translucent skin, beings covered in metallic scales, and others with 6 arms and multiple eyes. Each of them carried tools and holographic tablets, scanning, calculating, and arguing in their alien languages. They were among the smartest minds in the galaxy, chosen for this station specifically because it was difficult to maintain. Yet here they were, unable to fix the relay. Jack leaned against the wall near the observation deck, his hands in his pockets. He was not one of the 28 engineers. He had no titles, no degrees from fancy intergalactic academies, no glowing badges of authority. He was a simple systems technician, traveling with his daughter Lily on a long-term civilian assignment. His job was to maintain small machines, minor systems, and fix simple malfunctions. But today, he was just watching. "You see," said one of the engineers, a 4-eyed creature named Varnock, "the relay is beyond conventional repair. Its circuitry is not compatible with our systems. We cannot understand its logic. It refuses all standard protocols." "I told you," said another, a sleek metallic being called Kerr, "our methods are precise, yet the relay fails every time. There is no solution in our knowledge banks." They argued in loud, rapid bursts, their voices echoing in the metal hallways. Jack watched silently, listening to the patterns of their speech, watching how they tried to force the system to work. They were like doctors arguing over a patient they could not save, each relying only on textbooks and calculations. Lily, Jack's 7-year-old daughter, tugged at his sleeve. "Daddy," she said softly, "why are they all yelling?" Jack crouched down to her level. "They are trying to fix the station," he said. "But it's a very tricky problem. Sometimes even the smartest people get stuck." Lily frowned. "But the station is big. Can't they just make another one?" Jack shook his head. "No, sweetie, it takes years to build a station like this. And even then, we have to keep this one alive while we are here. Right now, it's not listening to anyone." He rose and walked toward the relay control room. The engineers allowed him to pass, but only because he was small and quiet, not because they expected him to do anything. He glanced at their workstations. Holographic displays showed streams of data, colored lines, complex equations, and sequences he barely recognized. Most of it went over his head, but he noticed something strange. The system seemed alive, not like it had feelings, of course, but like it resisted being forced. It tried to protect itself, to maintain balance, and yet it was tired and broken. Jack sighed. He remembered similar problems back on Earth. Broken heaters, leaky water pumps, old cars refusing to start. None of them had a textbook solution. The trick was patience, observation, and a small touch of creativity. Humans learned early to solve problems this way because failure back home was personal. You could not just leave a broken heater in winter or a car in the middle of nowhere. Someone depended on you. Varnock noticed him. "Human, you are not part of this team. Why do you linger here?" Jack smiled politely. "I'm just observing," he said. "Sometimes watching helps." "Observing does not fix circuits," Kerr added. "You will only be in the way." Jack nodded. He did not argue. He knew their methods would not work. He had learned long ago that patience and understanding often solved problems that force and logic could not. The alarm sounded again. Oxygen levels dipped slightly. Engineers froze, their tentacles and arms moving faster, attempting a reset. Sparks flew from the panels, and a thin line of smoke drifted from a side conduit. Panic began to spread. Jack stepped closer to the console. He could see the relay's core, a dense mesh of wires and circuits humming with energy. It was chaotic, but patterns emerged if one looked closely, and Jack looked closely. He began to take notes, small sketches on a piece of paper. He didn't write equations or formulas. He drew lines, arrows, and connections, imagining how the system tried to breathe to circulate air to keep everyone alive. He did not think like a textbook engineer. He thought like a father who had to fix the broken heater in the middle of a snowy night while keeping his daughter warm. Minutes passed. The alien engineers continued their frantic work, ignoring him. Some even muttered that a human could not possibly help, that their knowledge was limited to primitive technologies. Lily tugged again at his sleeve. "Daddy, I'm scared," she whispered. Jack smiled softly and held her hand. "It's okay, Lily, I've got this." He felt a calm rise inside him. There was no panic, only focus. He ran small tests, gently nudging the circuits, letting energy flow where it wanted to go, bypassing rigid protocols. Each time the system resisted, he adjusted slightly, never forcing. Slowly, imperceptibly, the humming of the relay became steadier. The engineers noticed something strange. Readings on their screens changed in ways they did not understand. Systems stabilized for a few seconds, then wavered. They stared at Jack with disbelief. "Human," Varnock hissed. What are you doing?" Jack did not answer. He continued, whispering softly to himself, guiding the circuits like a river, not a machine. Sparks settled. Alarms quieted. Oxygen levels normalized. Temperature regulators balanced. For a moment, silence fell over the room. Even the hum of the station seemed to pause, as if waiting. Then the relay stabilized completely. The aliens stepped back, shocked. "Impossible," Kerr whispered. "Our calculations, nothing worked." Jack turned to Lily. "See." "Sometimes watching and listening works better than forcing." Lily smiled. "You fixed it, Daddy." Jack crouched and hugged her. "We fixed it together," he said, "and now everyone is safe." The council of the station arrived shortly afterward. They congratulated the engineers, assuming the human had been a bystander. Jack did not correct them. He did not care for glory. He cared only that the station and his daughter were safe. That night in their small cabin, Jack sat by the window. Stars glittered coldly outside. The Arcadia hummed steadily, its systems alive and strong once more. Lily slept soundly in her bunk, unaware of the crisis they had narrowly survived. Jack watched her, feeling a quiet pride. He knew that in the galaxy of brilliant minds and complex machines, sometimes it was the human touch, simple and persistent, that made the impossible possible. And he knew that this was only the beginning. Jack Carter sat quietly in the small cabin he shared with his daughter, Lily, after the chaos of the failing relay. The hum of the Arcadia was steady now, like a heartbeat. Outside the window, stars stretched endlessly, cold but beautiful. Inside, the station was alive, full of creatures and humans who depended on every system working perfectly. And yet, Jack knew the system was fragile. He thought about what had just happened. 28 engineers, the best in the galaxy, could not make the relay work. They had tried everything, forceful resets, complex calculations, even redesigning parts on the fly. But none of it had worked. Only he, a simple human technician, had stabilized it. He didn't understand why fully, and he didn't care to explain to the aliens. He only knew that patience, observation, and a quiet understanding of the machine had made the difference. Lily sat on her small bunk, drawing with colored pencils. Her drawings were simple, stick figures, houses, and the station with its big windows. "Daddy," she said, "why did the machines listen to you and not the others?" Jack smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Sometimes machines and people too don't like being forced," he said. "They work better if you understand what they need and guide them gently." Lily tilted her head. "Like when I get scared?" "Exactly," Jack said. "Sometimes telling someone to be brave doesn't help. You have to be there, hold their hand, and help them step forward." Jack leaned back in the chair, thinking. The station's relay reminded him of his life back on Earth. Broken cars, leaky pipes, heaters that failed in the middle of winter. He remembered nights spent fixing things with his own hands, with nothing but simple tools and patience. Failure wasn't an option then because people depended on him. Now, in the middle of space, the same principle applied. Jack's mind went back further to teaching Lily to ride her bike. She had fallen countless times, scraped her knees, and cried. Every time he had told her to get back on. Not by shouting, not by forcing her, but by guiding, encouraging, and sometimes letting her figure it out herself. The relay had been the same. It needed guidance, not brute force. The door to their cabin slid open. Emma Brooks, a human xenolinguist, stepped in. She was one of the few humans aboard the station and the only one who seemed to understand that Jack's approach was different. Her long brown hair was tied back, and her eyes held curiosity and respect. "Jack," she said softly, "I wanted to check on you." "Everyone is talking about what happened in the relay room," Jack shrugged. "There's not much to say. It just needed someone to listen to it, not force it." Emma smiled faintly. "That's unusual. None of the alien engineers could even get a stable reading. And yet you just fixed it." "I didn't fix it in the way they think of fixing things," Jack explained. "I didn't use calculations or fancy equipment. I watched, understood the pattern, and made small adjustments, that's all." Emma nodded. "It's human." Jack looked at her. "What do you mean?" "You think differently," she said. "Most species approach problems like equations. They calculate, optimize, force the outcome. Humans watch, adapt, and keep trying, even when failure seems certain. It's not just knowledge, it's instinct, experience, care. You fix things because you have to, because someone depends on it." Jack smiled faintly. "Sounds like parenting, doesn't it?" Emma laughed quietly. "Exactly, and it works apparently even in outer space." For the next few hours, Jack and Emma talked about the relay. She asked questions, took notes, and tried to understand his method. Jack spoke slowly, explaining how he observed the flow of power, the timing of circuits, and the small hesitations in the system that indicated resistance. "It's like the relay was scared," Jack said. "It had been failing repeatedly. Every reset, every forced repair made it weaker. It needed someone to calm it, to give it a little room, not force it to obey." Emma frowned thoughtfully. "So the system responded to care, not commands." "Exactly," Jack said. "Humans are used to that. We fix broken things all the time, not because it's easy, not because we're smart, but because we can't leave them broken. People depend on them." Emma leaned back in her chair. "It's incredible. You might have just created a new approach to engineering for the station." Jack shook his head. "Maybe, or maybe it's just common sense." Later, Jack returned to the relay room. The alien engineers were still there, pacing, muttering, and rechecking their calculations. Varnock glared at him as if daring him to speak. Kerr stared silently, its 6 arms folded across its chest. Jack ignored them. He went to the console and touched a panel gently. The relay's lights pulsed, steady and calm. He adjusted a small flow here, nudged a sequence there. The system responded immediately, humming smoothly. The aliens froze, watching in disbelief. "How?" Varnock began, but no words could finish the sentence. Jack did not answer. He worked quietly, making sure every part of the system was stable. He was not concerned with recognition. His goal was simple: keep the station alive. Emma appeared behind him. "Do you need help?" she asked. "No," Jack said. "This part I just need to watch and guide. The system will do the rest if it feels safe." Hours passed. Jack stayed with the relay, adjusting small things, observing, listening. By the end of the shift, the system was more stable than it had ever been. The engineers recorded data furiously, trying to understand what had happened, but they could not. Their calculations were precise, but they lacked the human intuition that Jack had applied. As he left the room, Lily ran up to him. "Daddy, can we go to sleep now?" Jack chuckled. "Yes, sweetie, everything is fine." Walking back to their cabin, he realized something important. The aliens were brilliant. Their knowledge was vast, their technology incredible, but they were limited by the way they thought. Humans had a different approach. Humans saw problems not just as puzzles, but as living challenges that affected other beings. That instinct to care, to persist, to protect was what made the difference. That night, Jack sat by the observation window watching the stars. Lily slept quietly, dreaming of adventures in space. Jack's mind wandered. The station had survived because of his simple, human approach. Yet he knew the challenges ahead would be greater. The station orbited a dying star, and the environment outside was harsh and unpredictable. Systems could fail again, but he felt confident. He had seen the power of human persistence, of guiding and caring, even in a place as vast and alien as the Arcadia. He knew that whatever happened next, humans could make a difference where logic and calculation alone might fail. As he closed his eyes, he remembered all the small repairs back on Earth. The broken heater in winter, the car that refused to start, the faucet that leaked for days. Each failure had taught him patience, observation, and creativity. And now in space, those lessons had saved lives. In the quiet hum of the Arcadia, Jack smiled. Humans were small in the galaxy, but they had something unique, an instinct to keep going, to care, and to fix what others thought was impossible. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But tonight, he had won. And he had done it not with alien brilliance or complex technology, but with simple human determination, guided by the love of a father for his daughter. Jack Carter walked back into the relay room early the next morning. The station was quiet. Most of the crew had settled into their routines, but he knew the system could fail again if left unattended. The relay had stabilized, yes, but it was fragile. The previous day had shown him that the alien engineers, brilliant as they were, did not think the way the system seemed to need. It responded to patience, to small adjustments, not brute calculations. The alien engineers were already there, their multiple arms and eyes scanning the panels, speaking in rapid bursts to each other. Varnok's 4 eyes flickered in suspicion as Jack entered. Kerr's metallic scales glimmered as it stepped aside silently. Jack ignored their stares. He walked to the main console and crouched in front of it. The system hummed steadily, lights pulsing softly in rhythm. Jack observed the flow of energy, the timing of the circuits, and the patterns in which small errors appeared. Each fluctuation was a message. The system was speaking if one knew how to listen. "Human," Varnok said, finally breaking the silence. "Explain again what you are doing. We see changes in the system, but your methods make no sense." Jack looked up calmly. "I'm not following a method you know. I'm guiding the system. I let it adjust on its own. I only make small changes when needed." The aliens exchanged confused glances. Their systems relied on strict protocols and predictable responses. What Jack was doing seemed chaotic. Yet the results were undeniable. The relay was holding steady. Jack placed his hands on the console, feeling the vibrations, listening to the hum. He remembered the broken water pump at home, the old car that would only start after several attempts, the heater that refused to turn on in winter. All of them had taught him one lesson: small, patient adjustments often worked better than force. For humans, failure was personal. You could not leave a machine broken if someone depended on it. The relay needed that same instinct, that same human touch. He began to work, slowly rewiring small circuits, not with complex calculations, but with simple logic and redundancy. Where the aliens had tried to optimize, he allowed the system to run imperfectly but safely. Each adjustment was gentle. Each change tested carefully. He whispered to himself, imagining the circuits as parts of a living being that needed guidance. Emma Brooks stepped quietly into the room, notebook in hand. She had stayed close to observe, understanding that this human approach was different. "Jack," she said softly, "you're doing what no one else could, but the engineers are growing impatient. They don't understand your way." "I know," Jack replied calmly. "They'll see soon enough. This system needs patience, not pressure. If we force it, it will fail again." Varnok's voice rose. "Human, the station could collapse if you continue improvising. We have protocols designed for safety. Stop this chaos." Jack shook his head. "I'm not creating chaos. I'm keeping it alive. You follow rules, I follow life." For hours, Jack worked. The alien engineers watched, some with suspicion, some with awe. He bypassed rigid circuits, allowed feedback loops to stabilize naturally, and made sure the system had room to adjust. Slowly, the relay began to hum steadily, more smoothly than before. The lights on the panels were calm, the alarms quiet. Emma recorded everything. She asked Jack questions about each adjustment, each subtle change he made. "Why did you do that?" she asked. "Because forcing it that way yesterday almost broke it," Jack said. "I'm guiding it gently. Every system, like every person, has limits. Push too hard and it fails. Respect those limits and it recovers." By midday, the relay was more stable than it had ever been. Oxygen levels remained perfect, temperature steady, and all backup systems were at low load. The alien engineers were stunned. They had never seen a system respond this way. Every calculation they had tried before had failed. Only Jack's quiet persistence had worked. Varnok approached him cautiously. "Human," he said, "you have stabilized the system. Why does this work? None of our knowledge predicts this outcome." Jack smiled faintly. "You see the system as a machine. I see it as something that needs care. Humans fix things because people depend on them. You tried to solve the problem with logic alone. Sometimes you need instinct, observation, and patience. That's why it works." Kerr remained silent, its metallic skin reflecting the room's lights. Even it seemed to recognize the truth in Jack's words. Later, Jack returned to the observation deck with Emma. He watched the stars silently, letting the hum of the station fill his mind. "It's amazing," Emma said softly, How humans can solve problems in ways no one else can. Your instincts, your experience, it's different. Jack nodded. Humans grow up fixing things that matter. We can't leave them broken. It doesn't matter if it's a heater or a station in space. We keep going until it works. Emma smiled. I think this is going to change the way the Council thinks about humans. You've done something remarkable. Jack shook his head. I didn't do it to impress anyone. I did it because it had to be done. Lily and everyone else on this station depend on it. That's enough. That evening, Jack walked through the station's corridors with Lily holding her hand. The relay was stable, the station safe, but he knew this was only the beginning. Space was unpredictable. Systems could fail again and challenges would grow. Lily looked up at him. Daddy, are we really safe now? Jack smiled. Yes, sweetie, for now we're safe, and we'll handle whatever comes next, just like we always do. He paused, watching the stars outside the window. The vastness of space was humbling, but he felt a quiet strength. Humans were small in the galaxy, but they had something unique. Persistence, care, instinct, and love. Those qualities had stabilized a system that 28 brilliant engineers could not fix. Jack knew that when the next challenge came, humans would be ready. Not because of technology alone, not because of calculations or formulas, but because humans did not give up. Humans kept trying. Humans cared. In the quiet hum of the Arcadia, Jack Carter felt a quiet pride. He had done more than stabilize a system. He had shown, without words, the power of human instinct, and the galaxy had taken notice, even if the aliens did not fully understand. That night, Jack sat with Lily in their small cabin. The station glowed gently around them. You know, he said softly, humans fix things in a way that others can't. We learn from small failures and we keep going. That's how we survive. Lily yawned and snuggled close. I'm glad you're here, Daddy, Jack smiled, brushing her hair back. I'm glad too, sweetie. Now get some sleep. Tomorrow we'll see what else needs fixing. As he watched her drift off, Jack realized something important. The galaxy might be full of advanced technology and brilliant minds, but there was one thing humans brought that no calculation could replace. The will to keep going, the instinct to protect, and the quiet patience to fix what seemed impossible. He knew the aliens would record the incident, call it a technical anomaly, but he did not care. He had learned long ago that some things were not about recognition. Some things were about keeping life alive, and that was enough. Outside, the Arcadia floated silently, its system steady, its lights soft, and its relay humming perfectly. Jack Carter had made it work. Not because of force, not because of complex technology, but because he had guided it with the quiet determination of a human father who refused to let anything break beyond repair. And he knew, deep down, that this was only the beginning of what humans could accomplish in the galaxy. Jack Carter woke to the soft hum of the Arcadia. The station had been quiet all night, the life support relay steady and calm. Sunlight from the distant star stretched across the observation windows, casting long, warm lines through the corridors. Jack rubbed his eyes and glanced at Lily, still sleeping peacefully in her bunk. She had no idea how close they had come to disaster yesterday. She would wake to a safe station, thanks to him. He dressed quickly and left their cabin, holding a small tablet with logs from the relay. Emma Brooks met him near the observation deck. Her notebook was full of notes and sketches from the last 2 days. Good morning, she said, smiling. I thought you might want to see the readings before anyone else starts their rounds. Jack nodded. It's holding steady, he said. Better than I expected. Emma raised an eyebrow. Better than you expected, you did this. You stabilized a system no one else could. I think it's more than you realize. Jack shook his head. It's not about me, it's about the system. It needed guidance, not force, that's all. Emma smiled. You make it sound so simple. Jack glanced out at the vast expanse of space. Sometimes the simple things work best. By mid-morning, the station council arrived. They were a mix of alien species, tall, armored, and curious. Varnock and Kerr accompanied them. The council had heard reports of the human technician who had stabilized the relay, but none of them fully understood how it had happened. Jack stepped forward calmly as the council approached. I just did what needed to be done, he said simply. Varnock's 4 eyes narrowed. You call it simple, human, but 28 engineers could not achieve the same result. Explain yourself. Jack took a deep breath. I observed the system. I noticed how it responded. I made small changes, not to force it, but to guide it. I treated it like something that needed care. The system adjusted, and it worked. The council exchanged quiet murmurs. Some looked skeptical, others curious. A tall alien with silver feathers spoke. "You are saying your success is not from knowledge or tools, but from care." "Yes," Jack said. "Humans fix things because people depend on them. We keep going when others give up. That's what saved the relay." Emma stepped forward. "It's true, I observed everything. His method may seem unusual, but it works. The system is stable because of human intuition, patience, and persistence." The council was silent for a long moment. Then one of the elder aliens spoke. "Perhaps there is something to learn from your species, human. Not all solutions are found in logic alone." Jack nodded. "I'm sure humans can teach many things about problem solving. Sometimes the small adjustments, the patience, the instinct to protect make the difference." After the meeting, Jack returned to the relay room. The alien engineers were still there, studying the systems, trying to understand what had happened. Some looked frustrated, others thoughtful. Varnock approached him. "Human," he said quietly, "you have changed the way we see systems. We cannot fully comprehend your method, but we recognize its value. You succeeded where we failed." Jack smiled faintly. "I didn't do it alone, I just followed what made sense, and I had to protect those who depend on it, that's all." Kerr nodded slowly, a gesture of respect. "Your way, it works. We will record it as an alternative method. Perhaps humans have more to teach us." Jack left the relay room and walked down the corridor with Emma. "Do you think they understand?" he asked. Emma shook her head. "Not completely, but they will remember, and maybe next time they will consider another approach instead of relying only on calculations." Jack smiled. "That's all I can hope for." That afternoon, Jack returned to his cabin. Lily ran to him, excited. "Daddy, everyone says the station is safe because of you." Jack hugged her tightly. "We kept it safe, Lily, that's what matters." She looked up at him with wide eyes. "Do you think humans are really special?" Jack knelt down and held her hands. "I think humans are strong in ways that don't always show up in machines or numbers. We keep going, we care, and we find ways to fix what others think is impossible. That's what makes us special." Lily hugged him tightly. "I want to be like you, Daddy." Jack laughed softly. "You already are, sweetie, you already are." As the day passed, the Arcadia continued to hum steadily. Jack walked through the corridors, checking minor systems and talking to the crew. The aliens were more respectful now, watching his methods with curiosity rather than suspicion. Even the engineers who had doubted him were quieter, perhaps beginning to understand that success was not always about strict knowledge. That evening, Jack returned to the observation deck. The stars were bright, and the Arcadia glided silently through space. He thought about Earth, about all the times he had fixed broken things with simple tools, patience, and care. Those lessons had saved the station. And now perhaps humans had shown a new kind of strength to the galaxy. Emma joined him quietly. "You know," she said, "you've done more than fix a relay. You've shown the aliens what humans can do. That matters more than you think." Jack looked at her. "I don't do it for recognition. I do it because it needs to be done. That's enough for me." Emma smiled. "Still, it's remarkable." Jack shrugged. "It's what humans do." Later, in the quiet of their cabin, Jack and Lily watched the stars from their window. The station was safe, the relay stable, and the future uncertain, as always. But for now, they were alive and they were together. Jack thought about the future. Challenges would come. Systems could fail again. The galaxy was full of dangers and unknowns, but he felt ready. Humans were small and ordinary in many ways, but they had a strength the galaxy could not calculate: persistence, care, and the instinct to protect. He held Lily close and whispered, "No matter what happens, we'll keep going. We'll fix what's broken and we'll take care of each other. That's what humans do." Lily yawned and smiled. "I'm glad you're here, Daddy." Jack kissed her forehead. "I'm glad too, sweetie. Now sleep. Tomorrow we'll face whatever comes next." Outside, the Arcadia floated silently in the endless sea of stars. Its systems hummed with life, stable and strong. The relay, once broken beyond repair, now ran smoothly. Jack Carter had made it work, not with the calculations of 28 brilliant engineers, but with simple human persistence, care, and intuition. The aliens would record the event as an anomaly, a rare success that defied expectation. But Jack knew the truth. Humans had a different kind of power, one that could not be measured by equations or technology alone. The instinct to protect, to persist, and to care had saved lives. Jack stood by the window, holding Lily's hand, watching the distant stars. He knew that wherever humanity went in the galaxy, their unique strength would continue to make a difference. not because they were the smartest or the fastest or the most advanced, but because they never gave up and they never let those they cared for suffer. In the quiet hum of the Arcadia, Jack Carter felt a deep, quiet pride. He had done what no one else could, and he knew that in the vastness of space, humanity's presence, small, persistent, and caring, would always matter. The stars stretched endlessly, but Jack did not feel small. He felt capable, ready, and determined. And with Lily at his side, he knew they would face the future together, human strength guiding them, one small, careful step at a time. The station was safe. The relay was stable. Humanity had shown its strength. And in the endless darkness of space, that strength shone brightly, a quiet but undeniable light.